Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And our stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys. Just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Basketball, and I miss the good handshake. Where is the good handshake? The big handshake.
That's true. And my name is John Gilardi, and I had too like a good little power slide on the ground. This movie had about eat too many of those, but not. It's not going to take away from it. Anyways, what did we watch? I mean, I think actually your vague intro. I think a good percentage of people would be able to guess what movie this was, or at least franchise. But
I think
watched.
it was pretty good.
Yeah, we watched Prey, the straight to Hulu movie from the same director as 10 Cloverfield Lane. I only know that.
Oh, really?
Because it popped up on a trailer. But yeah, but it's it takes the classic franchise and gives it some good twists. It's like a historical kind of setting with a monster. It's like take a historical setting and throw a monster in it, which is a concept alone I want more of. But yeah, it's early 1700s Comanche tribe, I believe on the plains, north, central, west, out there, America.
Yeah.
And there's a young girl, and she wants to be a hunter, and that's a big focus of her, and she wants to do that, and like she's also kind of an angsty teen, and her big thing is like I want to do it because you said I can't. And her brother's an awesome warrior hunter guy, but he's also a pretty good supportive character. So there's this interesting dynamic where no one's really stopping her, but they're stopping her from herself more than anything. And she just wants this big hunt. She wants the big hunt, and guess what? An alien shows up. And that's the movie.
I think first off, like one of the things that was really sort of like engaging from this movie is it's gorgeous. Like I can't believe that it's not in theaters. I understand why it's not in theaters. But like this movie is gorgeous to look at. It's like it hits all those sort of like, I just think it's gorgeous to look at. It hits the things that you like about watching like frontier movies. Yeah. Like where you see like The Expanse and all the things. It really feels like a really tight indie movie about a Comanche girl wanting to be a hunter. And then, it does have like a little bit of like the production sheen on it. I don't know what it is. It's something about the cleanness of the image quality. Yeah. It feels, it's like, and like sort of like the set is like, the set stuff is like maybe a little bit too sort of Disney-fied, where it's like things are like maybe a little bit too put together. I don't know. But maybe that's also a product of like the composed shots.
I think it could be a contrast of the settings, honestly, and the color palette. Like we're in the village, and it's a lot of kind of like the hides and stuff like that. And then we cut to a shot of the wide where the alien comes in. It's very like kind of desaturated greens. And then the next shot, we're in a very saturated green forest. And so I think maybe that's playing in with like the. I think maybe that's playing into the sticking out of different looks and different like, or maybe that's sticking out. Okay, this is a set. Okay, this is the nice indie kind of guerrilla shot, or this is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think what I mean is like her like leather bracer is like too clean.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and some of the things, and it's not that it's bad, but it's like some of the stuff is like, it's just like a little bit too clean and good. And it only takes away it like minutely, and is the only thing that gives this movie away as like, I don't know what the budget on this movie was, but probably I'm going to say like $75-80 million versus something that's like, which is funny because they clearly spent a lot of money.
88.
But it's like $88 million, yeah. Where it's like, but the fine details are much more clean versus like that lived in quality. Sort of like on the other end, like because like Northman was like everything was like lived in. This is sort of like the other end of Northman as far as like
this is like
big budget indie. You know what I mean?
Does
that make sense?
This is like the blockbuster version of that. I mean, I think it's just that the studio Hollywood big budget kind of thing, where some things feel a little too clean. And I think even just the type of action. Again, I opened up with the power slide thing. It just happens just a few too many times.
She does power slide a lot. I'm watching it. We got it on the background as we often do, and man, she is power sliding a lot right away. I think she's got 2 big power slides. Oh, there's another one.
Did do it better though
3.
than did do the chase stuff better than Obi-Wan show. It's like just because the type of woods look the same and stuff, and it's like, oh, that's a good chase scene.
Yeah.
But
gosh, this branch. What am I doing with this branch?
It's so bad.
It's still very funny.
In terms of the looks too, there are times where the animation looks super sci-fi TV show movie. Particularly the first shot where he drops in. Well, the ship looks bad, and it flies off and goes through the clouds, and that looks bad. But then he stands up, and the composition of seeing only the top of him makes it look worse, I think, than it is, if that makes sense. And I think it's hard to make the camo look good. I mean, I think it looks fine pretty much any time after that. But that hero intro shot was
for the Predator.
For the Predator, not even the hero shot because you don't see him, but like that the tease was not good looking and weirdly composed, and overall just weak. And I think it didn't reflect the rest of the movie, which
it kind of feels like the type of shot that they sort of added later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they realized that, we don't necessarily have like maybe early on, and again, this is fucking 100% conjecture. I have no idea. But it's a type of thing where you're like, we have this, and we're like, and they sold them on, they're like, we're going to hold off. We're not going to see the Predator until we have this thing. We're not going to know that. And they're like, okay, sure. And then like they got the cut of the movie, or they got an early cut, or they did it, and they were like, I don't know. It kind of feels like we need to see that the Predator's there because
I think there's
maybe people won't know.
There's a version of this movie that at one point probably was. I mean, obviously, if you're going to a movie, I think like the name Prey. I think there's a version of this movie where you show up and you think you're watching. It's like a Bone Tomahawk thing. Like you're watching a Western, then it turns into like a body horror film. You know.
Yeah.
And then with this, you think you're going.
And then it's like, oh shit, is that Predator?
Yeah, exactly. And I think
that's what I was.
There's an intention there. I think.
Well, that's what they said in the stuff that I read. They wanted to like keep it like totally secret. And I think honestly, like this is a good formula, like in sort of the similar way that like we talked about Top Gun Maverick as far as like the business end of making movies and making interesting movies out of like existing IP, intellectual property. Like this does a good job of like instead of like trying to follow the same like path that the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie made, or like adding more things like the actual alien, like having xenomorphs and Predator fight, which is like it's cool, but like the narrative leaps that you make are like are pretty wild. But it's like this is kind of much more in line with what I would like out of like the Predator franchise, where it's like, let's just see, like if we have to see more Predator movies, let's just see different warriors throughout history. You know, let's see like Aztec warriors hunt this. Let's see fucking like let's, you know,
Roman legionnaires in the Alps or something.
Yeah. Go all the way back. You've got like pretty good scaling as far as
Egypt.
What is it? This is 1719. I I guess you got to like figure out whenever Predators developed flight technology, because they're clearly still using projectile technology and stuff, and like stuff which I thought was really cool.
Was that the concept? So I guess it can go either way. To my interpretation on the fly was that the Predator, they are such fans of the hunt, and they understand that there can be different types of prey and predators, and like the food chain's different. And so I was interpreting everything as they were, when it was scanning, it would scan the
scan
weapons
for like what the fight would be.
Yeah, and so like it used its sword after seeing the snake with the two fangs, had the two-pronged sword. It only started using projectiles when it saw they had projectiles, like all these different little things. And so I felt like that was my interpretation, is it was researching the prey and the predators and the food chain and hunting either equal to or a step up of that.
Okay. I could see that too. I like that explanation.
And then I guess the other is they're 400 years more behind technologically, but I don't know. They're still flying through space. I think the concept of time is different, and they're advanced. I think they should just be advanced throughout all of humanity's, at least for 4,000 years. For this concept.
Well, but I also like. I like the scaling of it too, because like you got to think about it. Like a controlled laser beam, like that's fucking wild. Like a controlled laser beam is a lot. So it makes sense that like they would have laser targeting and then projectiles, and that would be like the next step. I just think the scaling is really good for like a 200-year science difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because aren't they essentially just like laser cannons in the original movie?
I think so. I don't really know if you see any projectiles. It's just kind of lasers on, blow up.
Yeah.
Something fast hits them.
Yeah. But yeah, I just thought like the power scaling of it all was really cool. Here's I think this is our Predator shot. Yeah. There it is. Yeah, the ship doesn't look very good. But I liked the sort of power scaling of it, and like his like sort of like stylized helmet, and like I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think either interpretation, it's so cool, and then I even love the way it was kind of the rules they built of the world with the helmet, and just the fact that they showed it kept healing itself. There's just also the theming of healing. How she's a healer, he's a healer. They're both hunters. A lot of parallels there.
Well, and then also
whatever, but it's still there and it's fun. But the rules of like what it took to beat him were kind of established, and it was fun. Things were built on each other really well, with the brother hitting the helmet off at one point, or her learning how the projectile laser situation works. Like there's tons of even though the cold, taking the flowers and being cold and disappearing on the infrared, and like when she falls in the pit the first time, you're like, oh, that's how she's gonna, like they're foreshadowing she's gonna stay covered in mud the whole time and be invisible. But no, they don't, and that's like obviously that was probably on everyone's mind, but that was a nice kind of very subtle, natural kind of smoke and mirrors thing. But yeah, just the build up and the setup of even that, again, that pit came in back later, just not the way you thought it would. And there's it's all very like plot, like you see the plot points and the things that, like these are the things that need to be done to build up the story and the resolution. But it's very obvious, but it's still fun, and like you can maybe miss one or two if you don't pay attention or you don't understand what you're watching, and I don't know, I appreciated that. It made it fun. It made just like an easy, fun watch. Just like I think we've shared on this before, but just like a fun, like a movie is good if it's also just a fun thing. It doesn't need to be this work of art. And this had that in spades, where it was fun, and it also looked beautiful. So I mean, it is art in its own way too.
It's interesting though, because you've talked about this with in regards to like Star Wars and stuff in the past, where it's like this movie sort of rhymes with the original Predator,
Yeah.
in sort of a fun way, where it's like you've got those sort of like matching shots and like, and again, even with the first Predator, where sort of like you have the commandos going in to save the native tribe from whatever. There's some sort of I like the original premise is so sort of interested, like is so sort of like secondary in the original Predator, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with fucking saving a native tribe from like a warlord or something like that. And like, so you have all these, and they do it a bunch in this movie where you have like the food chain of things, really sort of like hitting that point. It's just very interesting, and it's like maybe almost like over the top. We get it. You're hunting hunters, but also it's continues and it keeps up with itself, which is really nice.
Yeah, it doesn't slow down or lag behind. Like, it always moves, which is nice. And
that's another thing.
And it introduces new sets and new looks too. Even like the French fur trappers, you know, like that set of the burned out forest and just their costumes and their camp. Just like kind of just the movie staying fresh, you know, and it again being maybe a smaller budget film, or they like being all indie and leaning into the fact that they could get away with like simple sets and reshooting like these exterior locations in certain ways. You know, they did it, and they moved around. They took advantage of so many different looks and built up so many different things, and and that really helped it move along too in a good way. I mean, it was a fun movie overall from start to finish, and I think from the some of its parts, but also concept. I think it's a example of how far a concept can go. And again, it just has my imagination running, and not even just the Predator movies, but just different things. Like what if Cowboys and Aliens is the worst example of it, but also like it's in the spirit of this, you know, and like different stuff like that would be fun. And you know, humans have learned love reactions, not even just because of reaction videos, but you want to see, like, even it can go from as far as like, oh, a professional athlete lives in my city, I wonder what they think of where I live, or I want to like all just like we love reactions and see how people deal with situations. So like time traveling, or like a misplaced person, like in the second Wonder Woman movie, as bad as it was, that was fun to see this World War I era pilot, you know, in the present
love fish
time.
out of water for sure.
Yeah, and so see how people handle things, or not even and then so it comes in the form of fish out of water. It comes in the form of just, you know, revelations and people, you know, saying things you want them to hear, hopefully, or not, or whatever, and all this different stuff. And so just like, if you have a concept that tickles that, you know, I think you have something good there. And obviously those A24 movies are kings of that stuff. Whether execution is great or not is pretty muddled, but you know, those movies always cause a buzz for that reason. It's the concept is fun.
Yeah.
And you want to see
the
what
marketing
it's like.
is good too.
Or even The Purge, you know, stuff like that, where I don't know, you want to see either yourself or other people in terms of historical settings with that fish out of water. You want to see these weird situations. You want to see how they play out. It's like a social experiment that you can watch, I guess, in terms of how would things play out with these different factors.
That's interesting. That sort of like plays into a movie I saw last night that we'll talk about when we do like the what did you watch section. But yeah, it is like, I think that I hope that this, because I feel like we've seen, because they're not gonna, I'll get to my point eventually. I'll start and finish the sentence. But it's like, I feel like we've seen the freaking like we've seen they're going to continue to make fucking content out of existing IP. They're not going to go away from something that doesn't work. But I hope that this means like this gets them closer to like yeah, I'll watch a fucking like cool Native American story that happens to be about Predator. Yeah. Because it's not something that I've seen before. And like the same way that I was like, I would love to see an Egyptian Like, what would the Egyptians do during like a zombie apocalypse?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Or something like that.
Like
you
an
know?
epic last stand on a pyramid or something, like some kind of tiered defense.
Yeah. And again, sort of like, I mean, I think we like historical fiction is like that was a whole genre that I fucked with as a kid.
And I think super utilized too.
Yeah, it really is. But it's always sort of like utilized in sort of like the Quentin Tarantino-esque way. It's maybe like, or it's always like super tongue in cheek, where it's like American Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer, or where it's like, oh, look, we're taking this so over the top. And it's like, this movie is great because it's just like, yes, this is what happened. And it's not like big and explodes, but it's like ready. It's here. That sentence didn't make sense.
It's ready. And it's here.
That sentence didn't make sense. Isn't it big and explodes? Like, it's not like it feels like things like have to be world ending. And this movie is not world ending. This is so small and specific. And that's what I meant by it's ready. And big and explodes means world ending event, because it feels like they we have to go back to Pompeii and show that actually there was like a fire god, or like this was caused by vampires. And it's like, no, I just want to see people who live on Crete hunting vampires from that like sort of era of things, and see the different like intersections of like the Phoenicians and the Akkadian Greeks and all these. Like, I want to see that if there were also vampires there.
Yeah, I mean,
show me that.
The world scale in this isn't. I mean, it's just this alien's here for it's here for a hunt. It's like trophy hunting for the thrill of it. Those are the stakes, and then her personal thing is like like avenging her brother and like all this like kind of just the protecting the tribe to an extent. I don't think this thing would have wiped out the tribe, but also just the internal like their I forgot what it's called, but their big hunt that proves themselves, or like the big hunt that ascends them into adulthood or whatever, and it's nice and contained within that, which is fun.
Yeah. It's really good. It was a really fun ride, and then we started a little bit earlier, but my dad started watching it with me, and I don't think that he picked up what it was, but he was like, he kept like, it was like as he was going to bed, and I was like, do you know what, like, yeah, do you know what this is? And he's like, no, I don't, but this looks cool. And I was like, just you wait. But he went to bed, and it was just interesting because it is like, right from the bat, it's like a beautiful, interesting story that moves fast and just happens to be involving Predator, and like a really cool version of Predator. I haven't seen Predator 2 or much of the other ones, I guess. I've seen like snippets of Alien versus Predator and stuff, but I like the first Predator is so good because of what it is. Yeah. Because it is so contained with those things. And this follows that same, instead of sort of scaling up and making it big, it's like self-contained within it.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it. It was a good vibe.
Good vibe. That's the review on the DVD case. It's a good vibe. Patrick Basquel.
It's a good vibe, dude.
It's like every movie that's good and every movie that isn't. It's a bad vibe. It's a good vibe. It's like it's the new Rotten Tomatoes. Is it the vibe or not? Vibe certified.
Vibe certified by Patrick Basquel. That's what my most recent D&D campaign they are. They're the Vibe Squad.
That's what they're called. Or they're after.
Yeah, well, that's what they've called themselves.
Nice. Appropriate.
Or that's what we've ended up calling them, because I am the Vibe Master, apparently.
The Dungeon Vibe.
I love this.
Dungeon Daddy.
I'm the Dungeon Daddy, baby. Yeah. I just, like, there's so many good shots in this. Like, this cat shot across the tree. What didn't you like? I think we've already sort of talked about.
Yeah. I didn't like the. It has some of the Game of Thrones syndrome, where traveling in time didn't matter. Like so much happens in one night. Like they go out, they find the guy who got attacked by the cat. She heals him, and they spend the evening building a litter, and they carry him back, and then they go back out to hunt, and then she and another guy are waiting for the cat, and they fight it or whatever. She gets killed. No, she gets killed. She gets knocked out. She gets knocked out. Same night. She wakes up later that night.
Yeah.
And her brother had killed it. And so you're telling me the brother
carried her all the way back,
and then went back and finished it
went
off
all the way out there.
And it's
also
the order, like the easy fix is he killed it and brought her and it back. But it's so like whiplashy, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the movie's like that consistently throughout. It loves power slides, and it loves just going back and forth and back and forth. And I mean, and if the world is small because they're walking on foot, and like the idea of their world, I think it seems like they're nomadic though, but I don't know, is small, then that makes sense, like just being on foot, no horses, like the world in air quotes is smaller. So, a 2-hour walk one way is far, but like I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just that was very Game of Thrones. It didn't matter. The nights were very long and weird, but they showed passage of time or activities that would have suggested passage of time. It doesn't matter. It just makes it feel.
Well, hold on. Let's examine this, because I'm thinking about this now for the first time. Because I didn't when I was watching it, I was like, I didn't, but it is all one night. I think I did have that thought. I was like, man, he took her all the way back, and I was like, my sort of qualm with that was like, how did he move fast enough carrying her and evading a fucking clearly, like, not rabid, but like, when predator animals, they're like, I'm just here to kill or maim, versus I'm here, like, because like, I guess that's like the thing, is like, why did it go? Why did it leave him alive? It's because the predator came and like hunted it, or something. But it's like, we gotta, like, it's like, how did you do that? How did you get away fast enough to carry her all the way back? So let's say if they went out, at 2. They started going out at 2, approximately 2 p.m. Then they find him. It seems like some time has passed. Let's say it's 4 p.m. It's 4 p.m. Let's say it's maybe September, because it doesn't look like it's too hot. It doesn't look like it's too cold yet. There's some like steam in the air, in the ground, in various places whenever they go out and do things. When they're like running away, and like we've got some sort of like natural sort of like settling of fog. So maybe it's like September, or maybe it's April. Either way, the sun goes down at approximately like 6:45. So they spend from 4 to approximately 6:45 building a litter, getting him healed up so that he's ready to travel. And then they start walking back. They start walking back for maybe an hour, so it's 7 to 8. She splits off. And then they convene at the place at like 9. And then, thanks for letting me do this, by the way, John. I really appreciate it.
If it helps.
9, maybe they wait there because he's got to find a carcass and do it. That's another like hour and a half. So it's 10:30 whenever they get got. They're now approximately, I'm going to sneeze. They've walked for 2 hours to find him. So they're approximately maybe like 2.5, 3 hours away from camp. So 10:30, she goes down. He takes her, let's say he's booking it, and he makes it there in 2.5 hours. He's booking it there, or he knows it. Let's say he gets there in 2 hours. So it's 12:30. Then he goes another 2 hours. Maybe he's running, and he gets there in 1:45. So it's 1:45 a.m. in the morning, and everybody's still up, And then he brings the whole carcass back, and it's maybe 4 a.m.
You've been partying.
And everybody's ready, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And then she wakes up at really early dawn. It's blue hour when she wakes up. 3 hours later.
Yeah. No, it's a lot going on, and there's a few.
I'm mad now.
There's a few stories.
I'm mad now.
There's a few ways to do it that you don't. Again, the brother is cross cut of and build some tension of the face off on the tree, and the brother hears the screaming, and he starts running. Because they show him building he's building a trail of blood. Just cross cut some tense moment of him coming, and then okay, he was there when she weakened it, and he probably finished it off because she weakened it, and then he takes them back, or it's just there's something there that makes
what
a
I
little
thought
bit better. It's just such a dense night.
Well, you know what I thought is I thought we were going to get a reveal later that the predator killed it, because the way that again that was the thing that I was like, how did she come out alive and essentially relatively unscathed, especially after being unconscious? Unless the brother was right there immediately. But even then, talking about D&D, if I have an unconscious player character who's right in front of me, even if you're engaged with me, I'm at relatively full health. I want to make sure I get a kill. I'm gonna fucking set this person down so that they don't come up after me, because I don't know what they're doing if I'm this cougar.
Yeah.
That's especially if I've already proven that I'm a fighter who's trying to fucking just hurt people. But yeah, it's I didn't think about that, John. But thanks for letting me just go 5 minutes and build that timeline for you.
Yeah, no problem. So that was one of my big cons, is that just seemed unnecessary. And if you really needed it to all be a one night, then pick and choose your battles, or try and figure out what you really want, shit like that.
Or just figure out how to space stuff a little bit better, I guess.
But ultimately, it's fine. It moves along. You hit story beats. It's all made up. Doesn't really matter. No, but it was annoying in its own way.
I mean, we're being sassy. We're allowed to be sassy here. When we make this movie, people aren't allowed to be sassy. But when we're talking about it, we're allowed to be sassy.
Oh, yeah, how dare they be sassy about our movie?
Don't be sassy about our movie, guys.
Yeah, it's I didn't have any big glaring negatives outside of what I talked about, the look with you, and then just the timing. Otherwise, it was fun, and it wasn't I didn't feel like it was predictable, so it was fun in terms of an overall vibe, I guess, of enjoying the movie. It was enjoyable, and or anything any little thing that could have come up to make it unenjoyable didn't. Outside of just silly timeline stuff and the way it looked due to budget, whatever, But outside of that, it did everything it needed to have, so I could have a good time. And it also didn't kill the dog off, which, I know we're at a weird place where things aren't killing, movies aren't killing the dogs, which is nice.
They killed the wolf.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But there was a time where the dog was the easy one to kill. Or an easy thing in a moment, and John Wick notwithstanding, because that's a huge plot point of the whole universe, but of that movie. But I don't know, should dogs always have plot armor? I almost say yes, because I don't want to see good doggos die. But it's also, maybe we're getting to the point of there's a little too much of it. But I'm still at the edge of my seat though. I don't want to see the dog die, And especially this dog, who was a rescue, unprofessional actor, just an awesome story. I don't want to.
Just really?
Yeah, and it doesn't.
Just a cool little guy.
Yeah, and it doesn't translate obviously to the character on screen, but that's what I'm seeing, because he doesn't know. He's just out there having a good time, and so
we love it. We love a good rescue boy.
Yeah, so I really like that, and I'm glad he didn't get hurt, and I think he got his tail in the trap at the beginning, and I was like, okay, they did that at least.
Well, and it's interesting because it's the tail in the trap sort of makes him feel like he's sort of makes him feel like he's like more part of it, because it's like if he had true plot armor, and again, it's a calculated thing because it's like we got to hurt this dog, but we don't want to kill this dog.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm the storyteller, and it's like, you know, having him get hurt, but then still be a part of things. It's like, all right, yeah, there's a chance, but we also understand. You know, we're probably not gonna kill this dog.
Yeah.
I want to say, as far as things that I really liked the French trappers being the foreigners, and like, again, making this movie for an American audience, so having the Comanche tribe speak in English, again, essentially sort of like presenting it and again, for me, is like as if it's sort of like common.
Yeah.
So it's like the world that you're in, the protagonist of the story that you're in, the language that they speak is a common tongue, and it's like, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And I really liked that.
Well, even the way it was filmed, and the French felt so. I mean, I don't know French. I can't speak it, but like I can recognize it, you know, a mile away. But it felt so. I don't know. Like I don't know if it was a different form of French or older language French, but it felt different, I guess. I don't know. And maybe that was just the way it was like portrayed, as, you know, as they were the foreigner or the alien or whatever in that situation.
Yeah.
The intruder. If the camera angle and the all, like, the cinematography all played into that, but I definitely picked that up too, and that was a really nice touch.
But yeah, because they were also like presented the way that in old westerns, like the foreign scary Native Americans were presented, and like they used a lot of that same like jarring, like the way that everything was built for those shots. I just thought it was good. I thought it was good, and I appreciated it.
Yeah.
I think this is a really fun movie. I think that I really wish that I could have seen it in theaters.
So you know why it wasn't? Sounds like you knew the reason why earlier.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like I know why, just because like we got lots of. It
is a pretty busy summer in terms of releases.
It's a pretty busy summer, but they're also, a lot of these like streaming services are trying to figure out what their place is in terms of like their market and stuff, and like the balance between nobody's figured out how to share the prey, or how to share the space, and also what the consumer wants as far as like what movie to go in theaters and what movie to not go in theaters. So it's kind of like, or who to send, or when to send the customer to the streaming site versus spending the money on a theatrical release.
Yeah,
because
there's new shakeups like every other year. Like HBO Max and Discovery now are having some kind of merger or like overlap. It's just like, get you guys shit together, dude. Like, I know like everyone's trying to vie for that piece of like being a big player, but I thought HBO Max was doing a pretty damn good job, and and definitely better than having to like cede market share to Discovery. Like that was weird. I feel like HBO Max was doing pretty damn good.
Yeah, I don't know why they're. Again, I don't know the numbers behind it. But it is like, wait a second, why is HBO Max getting that one? I don't know why, but HBO Max felt like the sort of like settled one. Like HBO Max is good; they got good shit.
HBO just has such a brand too. Like when I think of Discovery, I think of I think of a has-been, like a has-been channel and brand. Where HBO has always been, its brand strength has always been, it's always been HBO. And so that was a weird thing.
Did Discovery buy HBO?
I'm not sure what the hell that is. Well, HBO is under Warner Bros.
Yeah. So why is Discovery in charge of HBO Max now?
So
John.
Warner Bros. Discovery will merge its HBO Max and Discovery Plus service into a single streaming platform as a part of a plan to hit 130 million paying subscribers by 2025. So it doesn't say what that will look like. But I hope that the HBO Max branding stays, because again, as I said, the HBO's good quality place for content. Like, that's always been its thing, even before the streaming world and even before the TV revolution. That's been HBO. You know,
Yeah.
Obviously with a little dash of, like, you know, boobs and stuff, but and then Discovery, just as I just said, as it has been of interesting nature and documentaries.
Yeah, it feels
and
like
engineering
the
and
other
stuff.
way around than it should than like the pecking order should be.
Yeah,
Like, it feels like HBO has stuff in place in order to, like, it's like, all right, yeah, we could do a documentary if we wanted. We could do a pretty good we could do a nature documentary. So we have people in place to sort of, like, kind of build out that streaming service, but we're good. Whereas it's like, wait, why does Discovery have a good streaming platform? Like, it's just a weird move that is, I'm sure, is incredibly business related and, like, money somewhere. But it's also just crazy to me, the whole fucking Batgirl thing. Batgirl plus The Flash, how they're like,
it's also, but that's on the other side.
We gotta save the Flash.
If we have all these streaming things, just fucking put it on a streaming place and get some subs there,
right?
And cause some buzz. Like, just put Batgirl out, and if the Ezra Miller thing is really pushing you to be like, I don't know about this, like, whatever, just put it in streaming platforms and move on. Like, it sounds like they want to move on, but, like, just let these things be seen. Like, even Disney did it with with that show with Maisie Williams and a lot of actually big actors.
Oh, the New Mutants, you mean?
Yeah. So
after, like, fucking, like, 4 years.
Yeah, like, after even, like,
of it sitting.
That was at the buying with Fox, and it's like they let that live at least, you know. Why not? So
yeah.
Again, we live in a world where now we have these platforms to do this. So it's so stupid. Like, and DC's established itself with these one-offs and like like, I don't know, like the Joker movie or whatever. Like, let's.
Bro,
I've said it already, but it just, why not? Why not just put on streaming services?
I mean, but it's so, and again, we're getting away from Prey here as we sort of, like, I guess, wind down, wind up in various things. But it's like that. It's so baffling to me because it's so baffling to me because that side of the creative business universe, and when I say that side, I mean specifically, like, Warner Brothers, DC. Like, it feels like they have no fucking idea what they're doing, and because they just keep doing random shit, and it's like in like stark contrast to the, like, meticulous world that Disney and Marvel has, just in general, because, like, you know, and again, it's like, for better or worse, because it's like, are we getting too much content now from Star Wars? Are we getting too much content from Marvel?
I think the Marvel TV shows are a little too numerous as of now. I think Marvel needs to slow down just a bit.
Yeah.
I know that you were just talking. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. It's like, it's like, but on the other end of it, Warner Brothers, HBO, DC, and it's especially apparent with the DC stuff, but, like, this Discovery, HBO Max stuff makes it feel like it's, like, a bigger issue as far as, like, not understanding what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
Is like, what the fuck are you guys doing? It's so wild. You spent $90 million on a movie to say no. and you spent probably 150, if not $200 million on a movie with a verifiable person who is going through just a really bad time, or a really manipulative person who is also going through a bad time, but is like showing you who they are, and they're still not pulling the plug or making any sort of definitive statement on it.
Yeah,
and I understand that it's a really tough issue. But it's like it's so wild to me. Like even the fucking the Snyder cut thing, where it's like
it worked out, but it's still bizarre as hell.
Yeah. And then it turns out that like 15% of the people were bots, which I mean, if they're surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly thought it would be higher. Did you say 15 or 50?
I think it's 15 or 20.
Okay, 20. Tony pushes it, but I think everyone agrees. Like, what are they doing? I know they just had a new mix-up. Obviously, that's bringing up the Discovery stuff, but it's just so like who's running the show, and I think that's the question. You know, like we know who's running the show with Marvel. We know who's running the show with
Star Wars.
Like, we know these people, and I think that's a big part of it. And I total conjecture and speculation, but I feel like this whole Warner Bros. Thing going back, it's just super feels like the joke of the producers or these executives, just like, I think it needs more. I think it needs more car chases, and it's just like, all right, here's more car chases. Like, whatever. I think that's what it sounds like. It just sounds like fucking idiots who don't know what they're doing, and who listen to their teenage kid more than anything. Like, that's their market research and understanding of the people is their degree, their 1 degree of separation in their life. It's just out of touch. And it's out of touch. It's just dumb, weird business. It's just such a fucking mess, and it's so weird. And
it's so strange for it to be so big, and for it to be operating in a less informed capacity than we make our music videos.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna because we're like, oh, well, what do we want out of our Predator music video? Like, what do we need to show for us in order to get the thing? And also, like, what sort of bits do we need to hit for the audience, as far as like you being the producer and me being sort of like this is what I think will be fun and cool. And you're like, well, we got to make sure we hit this and this and this. And granted, there's only 2 people doing it, but it's on such a smaller scale. And it's like,
it's the funny revelation I just had? It shows, at least in like the Hollywood, it shows the art department are the real heroes, and everyone else is just fucking winging, like, just flying out the seat of their pants. But like, art department has to do their job beforehand and do their homework beforehand. And it almost feels like everyone else can just kind of, even the script and script super, like, all that shit can even just be fucking winged. I don't know. It's just a weird revelation I just had. And it kind of flips it on its head, because artists are the more whimsical, beat to their own drum types. But in the film set, they're the ones that need to get their shit right and get their shit right going in.
Because it's what people look at, and it's what's going to take people out of it.
Yeah.
So I've got a sort of answer for why Prey is on Hulu versus on in theaters.
All right.
So there's like a couple. It's grandfathered in because it was made by 20th Century Fox, 20th Century Studios, formerly 20th Century Fox, and so Hulu is where it puts its adult content. But it's also because I think HBO. No, hold on. How on earth? Here's the thing from somebody on July 20th, 2022. How on earth is Prey completely bypassing theaters for Hulu? Adam B. Very. Gonna give him a shout out. He's verified on Twitter. He said it's grandfathered in the 20th century HBO deal. Same reason Free Guy went to HBO Max instead of Disney Plus. All 20th titles that originated pre-merger with the theatrical release must go to HBO Max. If Prey got a theatrical release, and the same would happen, and that is forbidden apparently. If Prey got a theatrical release, the same would happen, and that is forbidden apparently. So if Prey were to get a theatrical release, it would go to HBO Max when it was time to go for it to streaming services. But because they released it directly on Hulu, they essentially bypassed that pre-merger deal.
Interesting. Well,
so Disney decided
that shit won't be happening much longer.
Yeah. So Disney decided it would rather forego a theatrical release for the film than allow it to appear on HBO Max. Disney wants to use Prey as its first big-ticket franchise, 20th century production, to drive subscriptions to Hulu. And this is via just citing my sources here, via a Polygon article from August 5th.
Nice.
By Ollie Welsh. I'm so sorry, Ollie, if you listen to this podcast. I don't know. I love you. Thanks for writing that and allowing me to, talk about it a little bit. Anyway, I'm done now, John. I'm sorry.
You ready? Yeah, no, that was good. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
You ready for some
business?
Some reviews, some good takes from.
Give me some
from the Rotten Tomato crowd.
Give me some hot takes.
Damon says it's all based on the concept that she is not seen as a menace, even when that doesn't make sense at all. The action, it's good, but basically the predator, it's letting himself to be killed the whole HOLE movie because of her untouchable power. I don't know what fucking movie he watched.
Huh.
Do you have
okay.
Let's see. Paul said really good, just not great. Maybe it was just too short, not sure. Main character was believable and real. Acting was great. Jake says the movie is very fast-paced and exhilarating, probably the best movie since the original.
Yeah, I agree, Jake.
Angus, interesting, fun name. This is a long one.
Tell us, Angus.
2 stars. The last 2 were 3.5 and 5 each, respectively. Angus said, I don't see what the hype was about personally. It follows the formula of the original movie to a T, even borrowing some of the dialogue, which critics seem to be applauding despite Star Wars The Force Awakens being panned for it. The setting is new and fresh. Seeing indigenous American culture and language explored is excellent, but the premise of the movie is ridiculous. The protagonist spends most of the movie running away from everything, barely bats an eyelid while watching her compatriots get dismembered in various ways. Finally shows a touch of emotion when a family member bites the dust, then proceeds to best the predator with a stone tomahawk, the same predator that laid unequivocal smackdown on a grizzly bear. At least I think that's what happened, because the visual effects tried to convince me that what looked like a misshapen mushroom was supposed to be a grizzly bear. Add in the banal plot of a girl wants to do what boys do, village doubts girls. Girl proves village wrong, somehow becomes war chief after one successful hunt, despite fleeing while her people get eviscerated, and you've got a less than mediocre movie, said Angus.
Huh. Okay, Angus. There's a lot to unpack there, bud. She does power slide an awful lot. Shit. Boy.
You're welcome for the revelations of the power slide and the night, the dense night.
Yeah. I can't believe she reacts. She has emotional reactions when her friends die. But what do you want her to do? They're actively in a fight. She's trying to stay alive. What do you want her to do?
And I don't know a lot about Comanche culture, but maybe they have a different relationship with death, especially death in a hunt or in fighting. I don't know.
Well,
I guess it's easy to project our society today,
but I mean, even what are you supposed to do? Break down in tears? What does Angus want her to do?
I mean, I feel like the only time you you paralyze is like if it's your child or like something immediately close. Which guess what? It happens. Her brother. So it's like you got in those crazy moments. You got to keep on keeping on, or like adrenaline, or whatever the fuck happens. I don't know. Like,
and let me come. I got to come at Angus real fast. I'm so sorry, John.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm cutting you off. But
I cut you off.
But no, we're good, man. We're heated about this because you know what? Again, I don't know a lot about the Comanche, like how they vibe together. But in my experience, the survival of the tribe is the survival of everyone. So if we got this thing that's murking 3 pretty good warriors that have like tied her up, like because she's essentially misbehaving, and she's like, they're like, also no one is like, you can't be a hunter. They're like, it's a much more sort of like complex thing. They're like, why are you trying to do this thing? But like, you gotta go warn. You gotta stay alive. You gotta stay alive so that you can tell other people what happened, and you gotta stay alive so that you can save the tribe, even if you die.
Yeah, I mean, you can take it as, oh, this is unrealistic. She's cold as hell, or you can take it as she has some kind of composure, or like she's calculating, or she like. There's other ways to interpret that, which is what I think was the intent. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
this is
I will say I don't agree with Angus about the bear, but for different reasons, because I did just see that and I was like, but I agree because you know how I said earlier that the power scaling for like the technology I think is good, but the power scaling for the actual predator himself is not very good, because he kills a bear in one punch. He kills a very big bear in one punch. And that's a big punch. Granted, I don't know a lot about punching, and maybe it's just like timed up perfectly. I know that there's like martial arts people who know about stuff, and they're just like, they freaking got it. But he kills a bear in one punch. And also he's booking it across that field, and he's moving real fast.
Yeah. Well, she never squares up with the predator 1-on-1. It's it's like hit and run tactics and stuff like that.
And I guess you could make the
and
case,
traps and hunting. She like lays a trap and different things like she's never squaring up, exchanging blows with this thing, I think.
Yeah.
And even then,
and I guess
my headcanon again is like the predator scales itself to the prey for the hunt, for the thrill of it. Like, it wants to live on the edge. Like, it wants to feel danger. Like, it wants to feel like it's in danger or that it could die. Like, it's like a roller coaster. Like, it wants this illusion of danger and death. And like, to me, maybe that's me spotting the writers, and the premise and stuff a lot. But like, I buy that. Like, to me, that was what I was reading. Like, this guy is a fucking junkie. He's only pursuing the hunt in ways that make it fun and challenging, and that give him an element of danger. And that's how I see it.
Listen, I can see that, but I also think that it's possible that they cut a bear predator fight short for CGI reasons. Because I just think, if following that sort of logic, like, what is the challenge to a certain extent? If he can one punch a bear, and like it feels like he sort of cheats when he fights the wolf, because he gets his swords out. The fucking bear, the wolf doesn't have swords. It has little tiny swords in its mouth, but it can't ambivate them. I don't know if I used that word right, or if that was really a word, but it can't move them free out of its mouth.
Well, yeah.
So it feels like,
I don't think it's a 1-to-1 thing, but I think it'll use blades and claws with things with blades and claws, or at least claws.
But if I was, and again, if I'm gonna fucking come at the predator,
it also only whips out its spear weapon when the warriors bring out their spears, and then the projectiles only come out when he sees the bows and arrows in that same sequence.
Yeah. I guess he just doesn't. I just don't think that he ever gets close. I don't think he gets tested. I would love to see him get tested. I don't think that, or they get tested. I don't think that the Predator. Like, it always feels like a surprise whenever the Predator gets got, which I guess, it's the point of the thing. I don't know. Like, it feels like it's like you like if I'm a true like zealot for the hunt, it's like I'm always setting myself. I know because of I'm always going to set myself up to. I'm always going to win, really, when it comes down to it, for the most part. I don't know.
Ready for one more review from Henry W?
Yeah, give it to me, Henry W.
1 star. You can spell it from here. Trying very hard not to have anyone else waste 1 hour and 39 minutes like I almost did. Wait, what does that mean? Did you not watch it? Okay.
Did you not finish it, bud?
Yeah. I would give this negative stars if I could. There was no character development. The acting was bad. Not horrible, not terrible, not bad. Oh, but bad.
Okay.
The cinematography had some great shots, not many, but the scenery was unbelievably gorgeous. The CGI designer, that's a new job title, needs to take some additional classes. Someone on here gave it a 5-star rating and said, finally a strong female lead. This movie does not have a strong female lead. If you're looking for a strong female lead, how about a movie from 1979 called Alien? That is an independent female character with a commanding presence. If you don't want to go back that far, you can go back to 1984 and see what a strong female lead looks like in Terminator. I have a hard time after watching this travesty of a film. Seriously, do some digging into the heritage and culture of other people being portrayed, or you wind up exploiting them like you did here.
Huh. Well, I don't know enough, Henry, but from what I've heard, the native tribes are relatively chill with this movie and collaborated on the creation of it. I could be wrong. This is coming from like maybe 2 or so sources. That was just like Yahoo articles. But I think that maybe your perception of a strong female lead is.
Those are iconic roles.
And those are iconic roles, but
actress did fine, but I wouldn't call this an iconic role. And maybe it'll age well, but like he's also pulling to like the best pop culture blockbuster movie roles of each decade, or arguably to a degree.
Yeah.
To a film that's finding its way, and I don't know. Like it's just a weird comparison. It's very incel-y with that.
It is a weird.
It's very veiled incel.
And
vibes.
Then also, this is maybe a bit of a reach. But also, those are like those two, Ripley and it's not Linda Hamilton.
Sarah
That's
Connor.
the actress who plays Sarah Connor. Those are like masculinized women. Not that either like they are women who play sort of like in sort of stereotypical of the time masculine roles.
Good point.
That were taken over. So it's like does that make sense? And again, I could totally be speaking out of my ass here, but it's like it doesn't feel like those are strong because of the actresses that played them and the way that they were portrayed, not because they were. I don't know. This is a complex take that I'm having. That's like I'm thinking about this for the first time. It's like both of those were like stereotypical like male action movie of the time. That's like
but played by women.
Played by women.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe
totally.
your perception of what a strong female character just has your masculine gaze, and like it's like what you think is a strong female character is just like, and this is I challenge myself in this where it's like, well, why does it have to masculine, feminine, or whatever? But it's like traditional how it's been laid out. It's like what you want, Henry W, is a woman to play like a man.
Yeah, and I think the emotional, not emotional, but the depth of the the depth is just not there, I guess, of what they're expecting. They're expecting something very simple, I guess. Like, because again, like those characters are, I don't want to say simple, but in that sense that they're tropes of the time, action tropes of the time, played by like strong written characters, played by strong performances. Women. Yeah, and that's great too. And that's not to say that this character wasn't,
Yeah.
But she was written not as an 80s action hero,
Yeah.
And so
she was written as a young Comanche woman trying to find her place and do what was best for her. I don't know.
Yeah. It's
I don't know. I liked this movie. I thought it was a good vibe.
Yeah.
As I've already said.
What'd you give it?
I'm gonna give this movie also real fast, fight choreography is dope.
Yeah. A lot of wide shots too, and like it lives in it. It's not like Born Supremacy, like it.
The stuff is clearly happening. The technology, like within the things, is like pretty good. And like, I think maybe I changed because like the Predator fight where he's fighting all those guys, he is like using his thing, and I love this.
Oh yeah,
I remember this where they do the one shot, and he's like, "Oh, they've only got one shot."
Yeah, I love that sequence, and I love the brother fighting it. Like that looked so good, and it lived in those shots too, where you could interpret what was happening. Very cool.
Yeah,
and also like really showed off how badass. Like you see him do that shot at the beginning with the hawk or whatever, but you don't really see how awesome he is at being a warrior.
Yeah,
you just kind of got to take the word of it. But there, it was great, and it was almost like if they saved it just for that single moment, it's worth it. Just to, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like to save the show, don't tell for that moment was pretty sick.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just like, we hadn't talked about that yet, but it's like the fight choreography. That's one of the things in this movie that fucking hits good. Is like it feels like it's moving really well. And also, I just want to say this movie is an hour and 40 minutes long, hour and 39, and I love it for that.
Yeah, I think that's a good length.
Great work. I give this movie, 3.5 tomahawk kunais.
Nice.
I don't know if there's another word for
funny. I gave it 3.5. I was also going to say tomahawks.
Oh, look at us.
No, I agree. I mean, obviously we've been talking about it for a while. Same rating for same reasons.
Nice.
But yeah.
What you been watching, baby?
I've been slowly making my way through town, walking fast. Slowly making my way through
Faces Pass?
Yeah. Chasing them homebound. Netflix is Stranger Things. So I'm slowly making just taking my time. I was watching the other ones while I was painting minis, but now that I'm on the new stuff, it's like, damn it, I need to pay attention. So going through that slowly.
Had you watched them before?
Seasons 1 through 3, yeah. So that's why that was good background. And then watched a little bit of Castle in the Sky anime, Miyazaki, I believe. I was panting. I was painting during it, so I didn't watch it super closely, but it seemed fun. I mean, it was just very nostalgic. I don't know why, like those 80s animes, some reason bring me back. And I think I might have watched a lot of these when I was in Norway as a kid. Just didn't know what I was watching. Then I watched A Bridge Too Far, which is like, we were actually going to do an episode on it. I'm still down to do it, but it's a war film from 1977, and it's just got. Did you see who's in the cast?
It's loaded, baby.
It's loaded.
It's like Michael Caine, Sean Connery,
James Caan, Gene Hackman, Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah,
it's Robert Redford. Yeah, it's a loaded movie, and it's so good. Like it looks better than most war movies that have come out since, I guess. Like it's so good. The scale is immense. Like it's I don't know. I'd be curious for you to watch it. It's so fucking cool. In terms of like the filmmaking and the scale and like the battlefield of how it changes over time and stuff, because they built these huge sets and they could dress them down and up as the battle wore on and stuff, like, and just the amount of extras and like tanks and planes and hardware, it's insane. It's outstanding.
When movies were just big, huge theaters.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
That was a good vibe.
Yeah, definitely recommend it.
Cool. Hell yeah. We could do. How close are you on Stranger Things season 4? I guess.
Not enough to by the time you are here.
Gotcha.
If that's what you're hinting at.
Gotcha. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. We can talk about that off the air. You know, we try to keep it pretty tight while we're here on the air. We definitely don't talk about business and D&D a lot. We definitely don't talk about sports either. Very, very focused. Not rambly at all.
Yep.
I mean, her fight with the fucking. I've just got it on in the background and I'm just looking at it. Like her fight with the.
Oh, that looked great too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. And it was nice to see her to get to use like the things. Like I don't know, it's a good use of surroundings and movement.
She only runs away from things.
Yeah, I know. Get out of here, Angus or Henry W, whichever one of you it was.
Well, if you're like, the bear.
Yeah,
like,
you
it
run
took
away
down
from
a bear.
You stick and fight at a bear.
Well, no, it's like
punk.
she just saw what this thing did to a bear. Yeah, she's gonna run away. To your point, yeah, she's not gonna like beat it in a pitched fight. Like, what do you? You're like just agreeing with yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like, and it also, you know, where she did that fight, we're an hour or so into the movie, and she goes off on those French traders, you know, and it's like that's good character development. She's like, I don't know what you want, bud. Anyway, I saw a movie in theaters last night. I saw Bodies.
Ooh. Was it good?
The newest A24 flick. It was pretty good. Again, I think it was like an hour and 39 movie. It was an hour and 39 minute movie.
Uh-huh.
And so it moved pretty good. And it was fun. It's definitely been marketed really, really well. Yeah, it was a fun movie. I would it's not great, and it's sort of like very sort of like feels like hero of the moment because I think the writer of it is sort of like the new Lena Dunham.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's sort of like kind of like a hot group. It's a hot group in
it's like a horror movie
Hollywood.
Done it, right?
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun vibe. It's like the like Mafia or Murderer or Werewolf.
Yeah, the games. Yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially like that, but like blown up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's sick.
But it was fun. It was a fun vibe.
I do want to see it. I need to get out. I mean, I'll travel.
You gotta get out of the house, bud.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been out of the house too much.
Get out of that house,
and
bud.
then now I'm staying in the house because I've been out of the house too much.
Yeah,
but,
I hear you.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for hanging out and listening to us talk Predator and
I appreciate you.
And other things, varying from HBO and Discovery to
stuff.
sports and Star Wars. We did mention Star Wars today, but
because of the rhyming stuff.
Yes, and Obi-Wan.
But no Star Wars content.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Obi-Wan chase scene with the branches. They get you every time.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you, everyone.
Every time.
Go check us out on the different places you listen to podcasts. We have a Twitter account. There's T-shirts, which I'll probably be listing on clearance pricing very soon, if I haven't already.
Get them.
So once they're gone, they're gone. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Have a good vibe. Yeah. I appreciate you. I love you. Have a good Monday. Have a good Wednesday. Have a good Friday. Those are the only days that I am wishing you a good day as you're listening to this podcast.
Those are Patrick's well-wished days of the week. Check back next week to see which days.
Check back next week to see. I will never remember that bit. That's the problem with starting that's the problem with starting any sort of bits. Is like I won't remember them by the next time that we film.
It's still a fun one. Shirts are $9.99, so get them while they last.
Get them while they're hot, baby. Well, as I say in Middle America, I'm throwing this axe at you.